What social customs do we need to retire? Expensive funerals. The funeral industry is insane. Yeah dude, exactly. I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting my ashes spread somewhere badass and calling it a day. Sure, cremation ain't cheap either, but much better than a stupid casket and funeral service. Honestly, frick it, just leave my body in the woods somewhere. I'll be done with it. That somehow the concept of maturing means you have to give up hobbies that are seen as childish. Me and my Play-Doh pasta maker agree. I just do custom cakes. Pretty much get to play with Play-Doh and get paid for it. Putting our jobs before our personal lives. Setting healthy boundaries is so important, especially in a professional relationship. We work to live, we don't live to work. If you have a day off, take that day off and enjoy yourself, because workplaces will constantly try to take advantage of your time and burn you out. One thing I always tell my supervisees is that if you're not at your very best, both you and our clients will suffer. So take your days off and disconnect from work entirely. You have a right to do that. I wanna work wherever you work. Not talking about salary. My job didn't want us talking about salary. Turns out the guy I was training, who they hired, had less experience than me and was making about twice my salary. And they wonder why I lost my crap in front of everyone and quit on the spot. Oof, sorry dude. That's messed up. I have this cough, but I came to work anyway because I'm so dedicated to my career. Usually it's more like I vomited this morning and feel like crap, but I can't afford to miss even a single day of work. Or, for the slightly more fortunate, I am sick, but just going to work is less of a hassle than getting an appointment with my doctor to get there and pay for a sick note and then do all of the catching up when I get back to work. If you don't want your staff coming in sick, believe them when they tell you they're sick. Making your kids hug/kiss people they're uncomfortable with. When I was a kid, I went to a preschool connected to a church, and one day they took us to a nursing home. They had a dozen or so seniors lined up sitting in chairs, and we were asked to walk down the line and give each one a hug, a kiss, and a prayer. I don't remember exactly how I reacted, but I remember refusing to do it and being scolded. Oh, that psyche. The customer is always right being used as an excuse to be a freaking asshole. The full phrase is, a customer is always right in matters of taste. It's meant to mean that if someone wants to buy a product, you sell them it. Who are you to judge if they are willing to pay for a tartan painted car? Customer, no, you're wrong. Being nice to customers that act crappy. Got fired from a bar for doing this, and I'd do it again. You can't talk to me, the gatekeeper of the booze, like that, you stupid freaking dog idiot. Mayo, if I ever own or work at a bar, I'ma make sure the bartenders are called the gatekeepers of the booze. Having to purchase gifts for extended family that you cannot afford because it is Christmas or another holiday. Oh god, yes. Last year, because of COVID, I only saw my parents, and it saved me a fortune not buying 20 meaningless gifts for extended family I see once a year. A few years ago, my family started doing Dirty Santa. We set a limit that everyone could afford. Currently it's $50 per person, and we buy something totally random that we think is cool or interesting or useful. When we get together, all the presents get piled together, we draw numbers, and people start picking presents. Everyone who opens a present has the option to steal a present from someone else and give them their present. This can be done up to 3 times. Eventually everyone has one present, and it's usually pretty cool stuff. One year I ended up with a bunch of little succulents, some of which are still growing on my patio. Another year I ended up with a super soft throw blanket. We've done stuff like random obscure games and lock-picking sets, etc. And it only ends up costing $50 per person. It's a great way to do Christmas, and so much fun. I think we would all be so much happier with a 4-day work week and 3-day weekend. A 4-day work week, but having Wednesday off is where it's at. I had that schedule in college, and having a day off in the middle of the week to rest and or catch up on stuff is great. This is my schedule now, as a working adult, for the past few years. Having Wednesdays off is great for sleeping in a bit. Less time driving to work. I can't work from home. Less work clothing I have to wear during the week. I always know I'll have that day free for appointments, etc. It's really nice. Though it looks like this custom is fading away during the pandemic, but how about we stop glorifying us being model employees by showing up to work even while sick? I was at a retailer for 14 years, and I don't have enough fingers and toes to count how many times I used to see managers and supervisors dragging themselves to work while sick to please their superiors. In January 2020, I ended up getting the flu from a coworker that decided it would impress the store manager if she still showed up while sick with the flu. That culture went away real quick when we started getting COVID cases in the store I was at, and I too ended up getting a mild case of COVID. I've called out any time in the past when I felt sick, and I will continue to do so as I normally did. As great as this sounds, workplaces are slowly going back to show up sick. Or at least, I've been seeing more people in my area showing up to work sick. They explain it away as it's not COVID, and they're okay to work. My job is doing a big project RN, and has declared the next 2 weeks no call in week and OFC. I had gotten sick right before it was announced and was throwing up the morning of the first no call in day and had to get special permission to call in from the hour manager, and still got a phone call from a supervisor chewing me out. Not to mention I'm pregnant, but they don't know that yet. Cashiers and other jobs not being allowed to sit down because it makes them look lazy. While I've got the spotlight, can we do away with minimum wage? Shouldn't be enough to live off of too? Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. These are rules made by people who sit all day. Straight up. I worked day shift at a bar, and we had a stool at one end that we could sit on if needed. Most of the time I didn't use it, but we didn't have floor mats behind the bar, so some days my back would really ache, and I'd take a few minutes to rest in between customers. Well, one day I came in, and the stool was gone. I was confused, but I didn't think much of it until one of our old, crappy, lazy, couldn't stand for 3 solid minutes if he tried regulars bragged to me about how the owner had removed the stool at his request because he didn't like seeing us sit down behind the bar. I had to point out to him that most bartenders get floor mats, and the fact that we didn't, plus we worked 10-hour shifts with no breaks, meant we deserved the right to sit when we got a second. He had nothing to say to that, though it was obvious that he'd clearly never given it any thought before that moment. Worshipping celebrities. I don't get it, and it seems to just create tons of problems. Kim Kardashian has 70 million Twitter followers. The #1 search term on Google WRT Kardashian is why. Is Kim Kardashian famous? Why indeed. Diamond rings for engagements, they are a scam, and especially the 3-month salary custom is absurd. Pretty sure the 3-month thing started as a marketing campaign by jewelers. Not in the sense of ads telling everyone that's what it should be, but more like store staff being told to advise potential customers that 3 months salary was customary and what their girlfriend would be expecting. It got around, and people still think that's the custom. It actually was ads telling men that pretty much the entire industry surrounding diamond engagement rings was a marketing ploy by D-Drinks. It quite interesting history of diamond rings. If you want a quick history, I recommend Netflix's Explained on Diamonds. Discussing salary with co-workers should no longer be taboo. They don't want the workers to realize how screwed they are. If the workforce is free to discuss what they are being paid, the next thing they might decide collectively is that they want to be paid more. We simply can't afford to pay you more and still make billions in profits. You need to be a team player here. Over the top gender reveals parties. I'm European and I just don't get this gender reveal party at all. Like none of that whole thing. Honestly, I'm American and I don't get it. My impression has always been that Americans are more narcissistic than other general populations, and this could be a manifestation of this, but I could be wrong. Associating relationships with fulfillment and suffering to being single. Additionally, not referring to your spouse as a ball and chain or otherwise disparaging marriage. I have genuinely met someone and thought they were divorced because of how much they were joking about how annoying their spouse was. The whole thing is so weird. Rest being seen as lazy. If I take a day off of work simply to sleep in and rest at home instead of having to have some sort of big plans or destination, it shouldn't be seen as anything less. RN I'm at home, having taken the day off because I didn't sleep well and have been napping, couch potatoing with my doggy and doing nothing. It's great, but I feel so guilty. Why? There's no good reason, really, other than ingrained ideas. Our society values productivity. If we are not productive, even for the sake of just getting something done, we feel bad. We've been told we should feel bad. Often the most important tool for combating low productivity is rest. That because someone is family, you should force yourself to spend time with them and be nice and respectful, no matter what kind of person they are or how they treat you. This goes along with the enabling acceptance of that's just how they are, rather than condemning poor behavior choices. My fiance's family are these people. They've all acted like spoiled pieces of crap multiple times over the years and have absolutely shat on my fiance every time they do it. They stopped doing it to me early on because I refused to take their bullcrap. They will all shout and scream at her about how she's got life so easy because she's in a good relationship and has a job, but none of them make any effort to change their lives in any positive way. Of course, once they are done crapping on her, if she doesn't talk to them for a while, she's the asshole for ignoring her mother and sisters. I've grown to think that some people's complaining and comparing people is their way of doing something about it. Not actions, but making things known. They think that once it's spoken into existence that then things will get better. From my experiences. Expensive funerals. Environment doesn't like this. Just dump me somewhere into the forest. Animals might eat it. I don't care. There are corpse farms where researchers leave bodies so that they can study what insects/etc show up at what times to decompose the body. Celebrities being treated like gods and people caring about what they name their babies rather than what's being taught to their kids or what's going on in our government. People care more about the lives of strangers, celebs, influencers or any famous persona than their own lives and the people within. It's baffling and tragic. Pants/shorts without pockets. As a woman, I support this. Anything without pockets. It's 2021. Is there a reason all my dresses and dress pants and shorts and rompers and yoga pants don't have real, appropriately sized pockets? If they do, why are they sewn shut? Why are there forks pockets? Why are their pockets small enough that you can only fit two corn kernels in? It's crap and it needs to change. Sewn shut pockets are meant to keep the material from causing a pooch or wrinkle around the pocket before you buy it. If it has actually pockets, but it's sewn shut, it's a basting stitch you're supposed to cut once you own the pant. It essentially keeps the pant looking crisp and unworn until they are purchased. Same goes for the flaps on coats and jacked and kickslets on skirts. Skirts are okay in a workplace, but shorts are not. My boyfriend got a new job last winter. This summer they tried to force pants, so all the guys scheduled a meeting with high leadership and made a case the dress code is sexist. So now shorts are allowed. The first step is asking. It's just unreasonable. Asking how are you today and expecting the only socially acceptable answer. Horrible. That's why I'm in the emergency room. I broke my clavicle last year into 3 pieces. I'm sitting in the orthopedic surgeon's office with my arm in a sling, or 3 long bruises on my leg, blood dripping from my ear and another bruise the size of a dinner plate on my shoulder with my arm in a sling, wincing in pain every time a breeze blows. The doctor walks in. How are you doing today? I simply responded well and made a Vanna White motion with my other arm like, look at me. How the F do you think I'm doing? That not having Facebook, Instagram, or other social media profiles is different or isolationist in some way. To add to that, apparently not posting on Facebook is seen as something weird. I just use it to get in contact with people that for some reason refuse to use emails through Messenger. Yup, it's my replacement for a phone book listing. I occasionally scroll for about 5 minutes before remembering why I just stay away. To be fair, it's more due to my own ability to not post a year freaking stupid. To way too many family members. Tipping. Jobs should pay their employees enough. In Okinawa, servers would run out the door to give you your tip back. It's essentially seen as a slap in the face to the establishment saying they can't pay their employees. Which, yeah, it is. In Okinawa, servers would run out the door to give you your tip back. Tipping is definitely not something that is done in Japan. The garter tradition at weddings. I'll never see my brother reaching up his wife's dress in front of 3 generations of family. I refused to do the garter and bouquet toss at my wedding, and my grandma did not understand my reasoning. Instead, I did a thing where the couple who had been together the longest got the bouquet, and so my husband's neighbors who were like 100 got it. That's very cute. May I also suggest what my wife did? She kept the bouquet and dried it. It still looks pretty. Stop questioning when we are having children. It's none of anyone's business. I hate this question. My sister can't have kids, but I know she wants to. She has had multiple miscarriages recently. I hope she never gets asked this question. I'm so sorry. That's the biggest reason why it drives me nuts. There are so many couples going through this, and I can't even imagine how difficult it has been for them. It's painful to live with, and then having people constantly ask you, especially as a woman, it makes you feel even more like a failure. I've been told by a few friends who have had numerous miscarriages. It's awful. Asking women when they are going to have kids, implying that they are bad for not wanting them. Plus, you'll be put in an awkward position when they respond they have infertility issues or recently had a loss. I never shied away from telling people the truth. And you shouldn't have to shy away from it. That's how we can normalize talking about loss and infertility and help people feel less alone. I'd also venture to guess that the same people that think it's perfectly okay to ask that question will then find it inappropriate to respond with the truthful answer because it makes them feel bad for asking. Plastic everywhere. Our food wrapped in plastic. Drinks encased in plastics. Ugh. Adding to that, wrapping bananas, oranges, mangoes and anything that has a natural protecting layer/shell into plastic. Like, why? Giving greeting cards for every single event imaginable. Why pay $5 to give someone a piece of paper that will get thrown out the next day? I'd rather you give me $5 and skip the card. You pay $5. I just go to Dollar Tree and get a nice card for $1. Then I ride it home. I get a box of them. Usually they have a variety of like 5 or so different ones, so you can rotate and not give people the same card. 40-hour work weeks and having to show up to the office. Only good thing that came of COVID. Don't worry, the 40-hour work week is on its way out. It's being replaced by the 60-hour work week, and the beatings will increase until morale rises. Respect your elders. I must respect the neighbor who used to beat his wife. She left and used to beat his dog. It was taken away and openly hates Asians. Just because he's 76 years old, I must respect him. This respect is earned, not given. Sure, you have to be courteous and patient with the elderly as they may be disabled/have difficulty processing things, but if they are openly being an asshole, that's a completely different story. There's a baseline starting level of respect, but your behavior is going to quickly impact what you get. Making couples feel obligated to have giant, fancy weddings. Or when the couple's parents say things like, oh, you just have to invite your distant great aunt Vicky and all her children to your wedding. Meanwhile you've only met them twice, and they don't want to be there either. This is exactly why I don't want to deal with a wedding. I'm not a fan of pretending to care about relatives that only met me once. Putting the onus on the customer to tip the service staff, especially in the US. Stop overworking the service staff, pay them a living wage, and if a customer does want to go above and beyond to reward someone for their outstanding service, they can do so, but are not obligated. The endless requirement of having to buy your partner, family, or friends gifts. Birthdays, Valentine's, Easter, anniversaries, Christmas. I went shopping with one friend around December when he was buying his girlfriend some things, and after spending over $200 he was still worried that he hadn't got her enough. I completely agree. I'm trying to go more minimalist and I really just don't want to receive things I don't need. We need to normalize giving experiences as presents. Tipping culture. Why do I tip the waiter after a $150 meal, but not the cabin crew during a $100 flight? Do you tip your car mechanic? Why not? I don't mind tipping the usual, not that I disagree. But I hate the expectation now for any over-the-counter transaction to include a tip. I wish they could just pay higher wages and include a service fee in the prices. I don't want to tip either. Unless I'm at a nice restaurant, I don't want you to feel like I have to try with me for service. Just make sure I have my food and drink. Restaurants near me, Georgia, USA, have started including a 20% tip automatically. Why not just raise the freaking prices to include that? Then customers get mad that they're assuming the 20% tip. Just raise the prices and end tipping if you're going to include that. Man should pay after first date. It's not that I'm not willing to pay. This custom creates unhealthy balance where people sometimes think they owe or are owed something in return. I dunno, split the check every time seems more equitable to me. I'm down for splitting, but if it's a date and I ask them, I'll pay because it was me who extended the invite. Asking another man for his daughter's hand in marriage. Why do I need consent from another person just so I can be the person that I want to spend the rest of my life with? My mom said that she had a boyfriend ask her dad that once, and my grandpa was like, why are you asking me? She's the one who would be marrying you. Or something along those lines. In Denmark we have this tradition of throwing ground cinnamon and pepper at people who turn 25 and 30, respectively, if they are not yet married. Except people often overdo it, strapping the victim to a street light and use an entire kilogram or more. It's harsh, stupid, and wasteful. It really needs to stop. WTF Denmark? If anyone throws pepper at me for being single, I'm throwing these hands back at them. A well-seasoned serving of whoop ass. Shell companies with unlisted owners. Shell companies altogether. And the general concept of being able to move profits up to the larger corporation but not liabilities. Dressing for your age. I didn't survive the past 30 some years for a crap stain Gen Z on TikTok to tell me what I can wear. I finally have the $sign and freedom from parents and employers. You better believe I wear what I want where I want. Living out your childhood dreams feels way better than dressing appropriate for my age. To have approval from people who won't remember me, and we all gonna die anyway. Colorful clothes for the win. I'm the same. It took me to my mid-30s to realize that I don't give a frick. I now wear stuff my younger self would not have the courage to, and even stuff that younger me probably thought was uncool. Frick it. I dress like I'm blind, in the land of fabrics. American, paying 3-4x the cost for a bottle of wine at a restaurant. How is wine so inexpensive in restaurants in Europe? You've been to a different Europe to me. Peer pressuring into socially accepted, but potentially dangerous activities. For example, in many countries in Asia, many circles expect you to drink alcohol with them. Even though it's slowly changing, there still exist severe cases like seniors physically forcing juniors to drink alcohol. Hierarchy seniority in workplaces should be lessened as well. In some places, seniors hold way too much authority over juniors. 2 weeks notice when leaving a job. Oh, you can fire me on the spot, but expect me to give you a 2 weeks heads up. It's just a courtesy, not a requirement. Last job I quit, I just simply stopped showing up. They showed me very little respect, so I gave them the same respect in turn. Also, happy cake day. Glorifying people for the grind, working 40+ hour weeks or multiple jobs. That's not admirable. It's really sad. People should be able to earn a decent living and have time to enjoy themselves and have a life too. Working in an office when your job could be done remotely. There has to be a better wording to call a black person than African American. Americans go around calling every blackish person African American. British Haitians, Australian Aborigines. As a black person, just say black. Clutches pearls. Having to give a reason for not attending a social gathering. This is a strange one. You don't have to give a reason, but it could impact your friendships if you don't. That's entirely your choice. The customer is always right. 9/10 the customer is an idiot asshole that can go frick themselves. Giving a crap about the height of people for some reason. Looking to upvote. Nothing under 6 feet though. Treating someone with extra deference or respect because of their social station or occupation. Just because someone is a politician, judge, a cop or owns a business shouldn't mean anything as far as social interactions go. As far as I'm concerned, everyone I meet gets a base level of respect, and they can earn or lose it by the way they behave. Vet here. Just because you are, or were, in the military, doesn't mean you are a good person. There are plenty of trash people in the military, in all branches, officer and enlisted alike. When people say, "You're too young to be hurting," frick you, my back hurts. And you can't be tired if you're young/don't have kids. My chronic illness would disagree, but okay.